Well, what do we have here? Another 80 points in Micron. Are we in silly town? No, we were in silly town yesterday. We're in crazy silly town today, folks. Trying to call tops. I'm done. Never doing it again. Micron's going to 2000. Tongue in cheek, not investment advice. Well, the money went into hardware. Where did it come out of? Software, Zscaler looking for a bottom, hitting a lot of the other cybersecurity stocks. So we'll cover that. We'll talk about that rotation. I knew you guys are fired up for 835. The chief economist at the Stock Trader Network, Blue Putnam, he's going to talk China and he's going to talk gold with us, which not doing too well as of late. We got a full crew here today. The Brentster's back. He's going to tell us about his little staycation. We're busy here. Pre-market prep's getting started right now.
The volatility right now is really incredible.
Wow, look at that consolidation on the upper right chart.
You know what we've seen this earnings season? Some of these expected moves get even more violent. This is why I have switched my strategy 10 years ago. And if you're chasing, you're in trouble.
Okay, good morning, traders and investors. We are selling off a little bit on these charts here, brought to you by TradeStation, born to trade, chart, analyze, customize, all in one platform. Trade smarter, move faster, and stay in control with the platform built for serious traders. Well, we got some red bars here, folks. We're backing off that high. I'm not going to call a double top in the S&Ps. I'm not going to do it because there's just no such thing. But we are up 1050. We were up another 20 handles. The buck flat 99.09 TLT trying to show a bid here. Nice move the last couple days. Of 14 cents, 85.24. Crude coming down, crashing down here, down $4, 132.99. GLD and SLV getting lit up. SLV down nearly 4% here, down 264, 67.08. GLD, that's only down 1.6%, 407.28. That's $6.72. And Bitcoin futures just back down to 75. What happened to 80K? We're down $255. It's 75,640. We're going to bring in Triple D. Oh, boy. Here we are. I mean, it was silly town yesterday. What do we call it today?
I don't even know anymore. We're fully irrational exuberance here, just chases on. It's the same stocks. The other stocks don't participate at all. The Dow, believe it or not, was down yesterday. You had 6 of the 7 Mag 7 down yesterday. And then, you just had the same stocks just rip roaring higher. Analysts chasing here once again. Micron's up another 85 points here. Why not? Why not? SanDisk gets an upgrade here. We'll talk about Johnny come latelys here. Barclays upgrading it last night. BCS, which we obviously mentioned in the SDN room. I made a lot of money on that one, which is nice. I've sold it already this morning. But, I mean, this is where we are. We're in crazy town here. Stocks just flying, same stocks again and again and again. And I know you come in and you think everything is flying. It has not been that way. We're going to get into the separation that's happening. We're starting to see separation versus software versus hardware. We're starting to see just, when you start getting into the irrational exuberance here, overbought conditions even in the short term. Not even there's been overbought a lot of these stocks longer term, but they're overbought in the short term too. Let's welcome Brent into crazy town here because Brent was on a staycation here. Let's get him going in this conversation. Let's get his thoughts. Brett, first of all, how was the staycation? What'd you do?
It was good. I vacationed in Detroit, which is where I also
live.
Awesome. There's always a big dance music festival in Detroit over the Memorial Day weekend. So I had a bunch of friends in town, danced all weekend, partied a bunch, but I am excited to be back with y'all. I missed the pre-market prep crowd, as I always do when I go on vacation.
You missed me too. You missed me too, for sure.
Of course, I always miss the co-hosts. I always miss Fee, others on the team. How was your guys' long weekend?
It was a nice rest, but definitely, by the time you get to the third day, you're itching to get back in the saddle. You're itching to get back in here and say, hey, I'd like to jump in here, trade some stocks, make some money, buy some Micron and SanDisk because this is what goes on. So I was pretty excited when we reopened Monday night. and you come in and Micron's up another 50 points, and you're like, oh, here we go. Oh no, then it goes up another 100 points intraday, and then it goes up another 85 points last night, and just keeps tacking on more. It wants 1,000. Can it get 1,000, Joel? Micron, talk to me. Is it going to 1,000 in the next 2 minutes? Do I
2
have to
minutes?
go get my Micron
2
1000
minutes?
shirt on
No,
hat right now?
no way. In 2 minutes,
Not in the
no.
next 2 minutes.
During
By the end of the show?
Oh, man, I don't even know. I'm afraid of heights here, and
So
you know, you got to owe up to your good calls and your bad calls. And I looked at it yesterday. I'm like, man, it's already up its average daily range. I mean, how much more can it go? And I don't know if they're just squeezing somebody. You know, I don't know what the short. It's such a
they're
heavily
squeezing every
traded
short.
stock. You know, I've just the targets, and I look at this SanDisk, and I look at this Western Digital. I don't even like to look at my long-term accounts on those days because I mean, there's just no reason. There's no reason to sell them, and that's all you want to do. That's all you want to do.
And the party has been in those names, and it feels like everything party, and feels like the stock market's going wild, and Trump just tweeting out and obviously getting on board here, but it just has not been the case. There's been so many stocks, so much separation happening. Like really Nvidia. I mean, here's the chip of all chip rallies here. SMH just can't stop going up. AMD up 100 points in 3 days, and you're like another 10 points here today. And you're just like, what a chip rally. And then you look at Nvidia, and you're like, what? Nvidia down over the course of the last week and a half, down 20 points? Like, what's up? Is it the earnings hangover? Is it the fact that there's just so much money piling into Micron, so much money piling into SanDisk, so much money piling into AMD that they're taking the money from the leaders? Kind of, yeah. Egg 7 has not been participating very much here. Amazon, not up in the last 10 days. Meta, hanging out doing nothing. Nothing going on in Meta. Microsoft hanging out doing nothing.
It's going down. It's going down
in the last month. Apple has started to show life. Apple, the sleepy kind of moving up. Apple's been climbing up. We've been talking about it as a hardware play. We've been talking about it, as an AI play. And and I bought Apple recently here, because we know there's a lot of people who are going to be wanting to go and maybe get a Mac, maybe get some OpenClaws going, maybe get some Claude going. Maybe it's going to be a way. I think Apple may be in the right spot for that. So it's showing a little bit of life. But man, I got to tell you, the Mag 7, and if you go to the grade 8 with Netflix, forget about it. Netflix is doing nothing. So, I mean, this has not been an everything rally. This has not been a rally that's like, oh my gosh, my stocks are doing so well. If you're in the chips, you're killing it. The chips, though, if you don't have, some of those, you're not doing nearly as well.
Well, let's go to the flip side here, right? Because if they're buying something, they're selling something here, and we got a nice tip there coming in to talk about Zscaler here. Oh boy, beat and raise, right? The stock is up.
As far as I can tell, they reported Q3 earnings 108. Analysts were at 101. Sales beating at 850 million. They did raise their 2026 guidance. Their Q4 sales guidance was just a little light. They're expecting sales 875 million to 878 million. Analysts are above 878 million, although their earnings guidance for that quarter did beat. So it looks like a beat raise as far as I can tell. Fee was also noting, I think it was for Zscaler, that 2 of the sales heads left. So that could be some concern here, but I feel like most people here this morning are like, what is happening with Zscaler? I thought this report was good.
The report was fine. The problem with Zscaler is it's not hardware. We are starting to go back to this once again here. IGV not having a great day yesterday, not really doing bad. It's come back from the lows, but now we're starting to see this morning getting hit. We definitely have the theme, sell software, buy hardware happening here. Zscaler's loss is Micron's gain. Don't kid yourself. That's something to do with it. Down 25%. People like, done with software. Go buy Micron because that's where I got to be. But I'm not saying to advocate to do that, because at this point in time, you are definitely chasing. And I know I've lost a lot of money over my years chasing stocks. I'm not saying to buy this dip in Zscaler either. They were talking about this last night in STN room, and I'm like, I am scared to buy dips on software. I am scared to buy dips on stocks that are in overall downtrends. Yes, I know in the last month, Zscaler has, been in this nice little uptrend here. But when you really look at that chart on the right, when you really go out a little bit further, this stock at the end of 2025, a year ago, not even a year ago, 6 months ago, was $333. It's $138 here right now. This is a downtrend, folks. Downtrend. We've had a rip recently. When you get dips on stocks and downtrends, sometimes they continue to dip. So we like to buy dips on stocks in hardcore uptrends, not on downtrends. It's that simple. When you are in a momentum market, keep it simple.
Boy, this is tough. There's a step down seller here, and we were watching this in the after hours, and I think it made a low, and then it was just kind of popping, or just like holding like 153, 154, and I'm like, no one is stepping up to defend this. It just felt kind of heavy. Then you come in this morning, you just got to just step down seller here. I don't know if that's the margin department just clearing somebody out here, but they're just walking into the pit. They're looking, bid, 138, sold, offered 138, bid 137.50. I see an area. I'm not, just like I don't like to try and call too many tops. I mean, I'm not going to try and call a bottom in here.
Tried yesterday. It didn't work so well.
So I'm just going to alert our traders. We're not at the low of the move. I don't want to go out on a limb and say we're not going to get to the low of the move. I would say you had multiple lows in the 130 handle for, I would say 15 sessions going back at the end of April. And that's where you're residing now. So if you're looking for a zone, maybe 130 to 135. But right now, it's just relentless sellers on this, way over the expected move. And if you just want to like sit this one out to say, you know what, I'm going to see what happens today, because there'll probably be some downgrades tomorrow or the day after. Low of the move is 114.63, folks. That was back on April 10th.
Okay. They want to know what a step down seller is. You haven't explained this for a while. So you see this start chart, kind of just step it down, bring the chart back up. Talk to us. 30 seconds. What's a step down seller?
Step down seller is they're just looking for bids. They don't care. They are going to step down, and they've been stepping down. Maybe they'll relax for a few minutes or whatever. But like when some of the big traders or some of the big institutions used to come into the pit and they would want to sell the S&P 500, they'd ask for a bid, and someone would say, 75.50, sold. And then, some people the people that would buy and would be looking around like, oh wow, I just got hit with 500, 1,000,
really fast.
Then they'll go
When your bids get hit really fast.
What'd you say?
When the bids get hit really fast.
Well, but when they ask for a bid and then they hit your bid and then they offer it lower with more size.
Yeah.
Like you're
that's never a good
already
feeling
stuck.
if you're a buyer.
Yeah. I mean, you have step up buyers, you have step ups, step down sellers, and that's it. This someone just relentless here, and no one's willing. I mean, just like seems like when I'm looking at this 15-minute chart here, every time someone puts a bid out here, they're getting hit. They're just getting hit. They're just trying to get those 135 puts into the money.
And I'd imagine these step down sellers are in the peers too. Remember Zscaler cybersecurity. So your cybersecurity stocks are under significant pressure here today. CrowdStrike, CRWD. Bring up that chart. I think it looks similar. Step down sellers over here. Bringing it up, Joel. CRWD.
Yep, I got it. Yep.
Same thing happening. Palo Alto Networks, PANW, down 4.5%. That's getting hit too. Sentinel 1S, which reports on Thursday, down 5.6%. You just want to do the ETF and go hacking it. HACK is down $1.50 here this morning too. Offered down $2 actually. So that's getting hit too. Not a lot of trades in it. Trades thinner in the after hours, but it's offered down $1.70 here right now. So going to open significantly lower here too. So it's, again, this market, winners and losers. That's what we've seen for a while. Yesterday, they were hammering staples because who the hell wants a 4% dividender when you're getting 4%, every hour, it seems like in Micron. So this market is just full on risk on market, and that's not good for risk off stocks.
Correlation. I mean, it's there. I mean, you see it. You see it with the hack doesn't look so bad though. I don't know what's. I mean, overall, I mean that thing had a monster rally here. It's you said it's offered down $2, but I mean there must be some other things in there. I mean that thing went. I mean you got to be looking at some serious retracements. This thing. I don't know what percentage Z-scaler is of this, but man, there's some room in these. And how about that insider and CrowdStrike a couple days ago, Dennis? Remember, it was on Friday.
Top holdings. It's got Broadcom. It's got Cisco. So it does have CrowdStrike and Palo Alto Networks, but Broadcom is right there and Cisco are right there too. And then, you've got a few other ones. It's very interesting that this, you're right, Joel. Like, it's actually very interesting that this stock is at all-time highs, like HACK, because there's a lot of stuff in there that's not at all-time highs. I'm like, when sometimes Fortinet's another one though, and that's near all-time highs. F5 Networks is in there, that's at all-time highs. Cloudflare's not far. So I either pick the right stocks. This fund knows how to pick them. Some of these stocks are not there, but this fund knows how to pick them. Some good ones in there.
Okay. All right.
SpaceX. We can't go, even 20 minutes on the show without talking about SpaceX. We know the IPO is coming. We know the excitement around it. We know we've been playing it through DXYZ, which seems like every time it gets a dips, there's another buying opportunity. Played it last night again, and it worked again. More news here. They're going to get another $2.3 billion contract. There was rumors, though, CNBC talking about yesterday, that Elon Musk has considered merging Tesla and SpaceX. I don't know if these are just, if this is just, CNBC rumors here, or if there's something to this, but Tesla has been trading up here this morning because these rumors do continue. What they're saying is, I guess in the pay structure of Tesla, there's performance bonuses at like $7.5 trillion market cap, I think it is, for Tesla. So if they merge SpaceX in there, well, you get maybe 2.5, 3 trillion right away. I mean, would this be a way to like get around? Everybody thought, we'll grow 1 trillion to 7.5 trillion, give them a big payday. They didn't really count that maybe it just merges the company and then gets it that way. I don't know if that's, going to be, I don't know if that's what Musk is doing, but that's what CNBC was kind of insinuating that he's trying to do here. Again, we don't know if this is going to happen or not, but there's rumors that Tesla and SpaceX may merge after the IPO. So we've talked, it's a possibility. I mean, you get it all under one roof, you get it all under one company here. I mean, all of a sudden, I think he probably likes the idea of having maybe one of the most valuable companies in the world. I mean, SpaceX is up there, Tesla's up there, put them together. I mean, maybe there is some efficiency there. What are your thoughts here? Brentster, what are your thoughts on a possible Tesla-SpaceX merger?
Well, just remember that we had heard about a potential Tesla SpaceX merger before we heard about the thing with the pay package. So maybe that was something that was already kind of rumbling around anyway. Sure. Besides the pay package, we don't really know if Elon Musk, I don't know. Does Elon Musk care about money in this way? I don't know. He has so much money. How does
I don't think he does.
Money? Yeah,
I mean, people have said that before, always doing it for the money. I don't think he does. I think he really it's just me thinking, maybe he does care about the money. Maybe he wants more money. I don't think, look at the way the guy lives. He's not like Bezos going out there and yachting it up and, blowing it over here and doing this. And he's just into he was living in an apartment in the Tesla factory, like a 600 square foot apartment for the longest time. So, I mean, I don't think he does care about money. So I'm going to take the other side and say, no, I don't think he cares about this. I do think there's that possibility that Tesla, the breaking news, everybody's wanting the breaking news. So I'll stop my rant for a second. Iran State TV says has a draft of the initial, this is from Street Inside, the initial unofficial framework for the deal with the. So
did they say the official, unofficial, or are you making
initial,
that
unofficial
framework for a memorandum of understanding?
We're in just silly town. Welcome to Crazy Town, where deal, no deal, deal, no deal. Oh, the algos, they all pop up because there's an initial, unofficial framework. Initial, unofficial. You see it too, EKS. That's exactly what it is. Look at the wording. Initial, unofficial. This is just where we are in this market. So you got to laugh about it. But you know how hard it is to be bearish this market? I've been saying it. It's so hard. And let's go on a tangent here too. And I know I was talking the Tesla thing, but bottom line is I don't think Musk cares about the money.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, come on. We've heard that. I don't like to talk about our competitors, but it must have been a slow night at CNBC.
I think there could be something to the merger. I think
Yeah.
there could be something in the merger that he just gets it all under one umbrella. I think that's more the idea as opposed to him trying to make more money, because I
Yeah.
don't think he cares that much about the money.
Military forces will withdraw from vicinity of Iran and lift naval blockade. Also,
It's a deal. Yeah.
they are
There's a
widening the
party
Straits of
going on right
Hormuz to
here.
allow more ships to
We're
pass
going to
through.
get a YouTube warning for that. Okay. But
Sorry.
anyways,
Go
same
ahead.
thing. We rally on deal news. We don't rally when there's no deal, or we don't sell off when there's no deal. So the party just continues. How do you be bearish? How do you get bearish in a market that is unwilling to go down? Ask the analyst community. When is the last time, Joel? When is the
cannot
last
remember.
time we saw a serious downgrade? Like, coming in and like downgrade AMD to sell, downgrade NVIDIA to sell, downgrade, Apple or Microsoft or
Nobody.
Amazon to sell, downgrade to something to sell. Every day we come in, I look at the downgrades. I know it's a pointless exercise because there might be like some small little company in there or something, but I look today at the downgrades. I'm looking through them all. Okay. Kennametal downgraded to underweight. We have Kennametal, KMT. Okay.
KMT,
Whatever.
right.
I mean, stock's gone nowhere. We have Vroom, Vera Mobility, which had an awful report. Downgraded to sell. VRRM.
What's the symbol on
And
it?
you know why it's downgraded to sell VRRM? Because it's down 54% today, and they probably get the mark. I don't know if they get the mark. That'd be JP Morgan doing it. I got to go see. I read the note here. Yeah, they downgrade to sell. They're downgrading to underweight with a price target of $8. I hope they don't get the mark.
Dennis, are
They
you
just
looking at your offers at all here?
Yeah, it just goes up, Joe. I don't even have a. Who
You
puts
don't have
offers out there
offers?
anymore? Who puts offers out there anymore, Joe? The stocks only go up. So
There's
you just put
yesterday's
offers out there, you
high.
get picked off bad.
Oil under $90 here, by the way.
I was joking about widening the Straits of Hormuz. Iran has committed to restoring the number of commercial transit ships through the straits to pre-war levels within a month. Within a month. So wow,
That would be big if that could happen. That would be huge.
Whatever. That's what I meant. Big whatever on more headlines at this point in time. And then reactions are muted. It's not like we're going up like 100 handles when we get a deal here now, too. So the reactions are muted on both sides, but they're like non-existent on the sell side. Like when we're getting all that news over the weekend, there was going to be a deal, and then all of a sudden, there's bombs going off and missiles going off in the Strait of Hormuz, and the market doesn't sell off at all. That's enough to tell you that the bearish theme is really tough. Eventually, it's going to be the bears will win again. Eventually, the market will come back in. Nothing goes up forever. There will be, some opportunities for you bears. But I tell you right now, if you're sitting here and you're just trying to short Micron and saying this is stupid, and you're trying to short, SanDisk and all AMD, all these stocks up, you just keep getting hurt. They just keep going higher. I don't know when the rug pull happens. I think kinda Micron can maybe pull one of these today where you get up the 1,000 and then, all of a sudden it goes 1,003 and everybody's partying, and then, the buyers pull back a bit, and then maybe get a little bit of rug pull after that. But the moves here are astounding. The moves here are basically, for Micron, unprecedented. It's never had a move like this. I've traded Micron for 27 years. I've never seen a move like this. So this is incredible market cap creation here. Stock going from 800 billion to $1 trillion to 2 trillion, putting on like $300-400 billion worth of market cap in the last 2 days. That's incredible.
Little bit of a red bar here, but nothing major. We did clear yesterday's Globex high that was actually made in the Sunday and Monday session by a point. So keep an eye on that 75-70 level. Pretty good time to if you want to do an IPO, probably not a bad to be doing an IPO here. We do have one today, PWRL, exposure to OpenAI, SpaceX, Anthropic, XAI, NAV at 1340. Where is that going to be priced at?
What's the symbol? PWRL?
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
This is a closed-end fund, so we don't know. We don't have any like formal filings. I don't see any press release that has given us a price or anything like that. So a little limited on info here, but we do have this on the radar. We would expect it to IPO today. It is something that we had expected IPO to back in like February or March.
Yeah.
So unsure why there was maybe a false start back in February or March, but PWRL, Michael Feehan saying this could be like a next kind of oh my gosh, what's the ticker? DXYZ.
Yeah, and they're looking for these. So I'm on the funds page, powerlawfunds.com. They've got the NAV. I don't know how often they update this. Well, it says updated monthly. So they only update every month. And the last update was May 13th, 2026. They had the NAV at $13.97. That's the net asset value. We know. So if we're looking at the holdings, I'm looking at the positions here. It looks like as of their website, they have SpaceX at 19.37% of the fund. They have OpenAI at 7.7% of the fund. They have Kalshi at 6.26. And then they have Stripe in there, 4%. Databricks, 3.45. I don't see any Anthropic. I don't think they have any Anthropic. I don't see it in there. I'm just going to their website, so it doesn't look like they have any Anthropic. With SpaceX and OpenAI of almost 30% of the fund with those two positions combined, looks like 27%. There's going to be some interest here. So let's see where it opens. I mean, again, don't expect it to open at NAV. I think, we've seen DXYZ trade 100% premium to NAV. We've seen VCX trade at 1,000% premium to NAV. I don't think this is going to be like, one of those, but it's probably could be an equivalent of a DXYZ, although there's no Anthropic. So keep an eye on this one. It's going to be interesting.
Good environment, right? To be doing it, right? You couldn't ask for a better environment to be doing an IPO in here. We've talked about the haves and the have-nots here, and boy, oh boy, I know Dash is saying, I think this is the worst performing stock in the S&P over the last couple of years. Lululemon here is trading up $3. They name a new board of directors. Former ESPN marketing officer, former co-CEO of On, Mark Maurer. Is this a catalyst for Lululemon?
And then Chip Wilson also. That's kind of the big one. Chip Wilson.
That's the big one.
Yep. That's the former founder.
So every time Lululemon has had some type of positive news, it rallies and then gives it back. The worst thing they ever did, I talked about that, is buy higher than that Nike executive. It has been forgiven since then. But now, you get this 4-point pop. It does report earnings on Thursday. It's trading 10 times earnings. This is went from this growth story of 40 times earnings to value land. It's a value. It's in the value guys portfolio here now. At a certain point in time, is it a buy? We thought, people who thought that with Under Armour have been not rewarded. So, I mean, is this the next Under Armour? It's looking more and more like it. We've talked about Lululemon as the next Under Armour for the last 100 points has been going down, and still seems like that's the case. I've tried to play this a couple times from the long side. I made money once. I lost money once on a swing, and I just I'm out. But, again, we got this awful thing where when stocks are in really heavy downtrends, and there's none really heavier than Lululemon, maybe the worst stock in the S&P, stocks have a hard time really building on that. There's this overhead supply everywhere. People saying, gets to 135, please give my money back. Gets to 140, please give my money back. Gets to 145, please give my money back. Gets to 150. That's the problem. It's just a bazillion people with overhead supply here. So it's going to have difficulty here. The other consideration here is if the stock continues to fall in price, is there a possibility, I'm asking everyone, not just saying, but is there a possibility they kick it out of the S&P? I mean, if that's go down, then you're got problems, because S&Ps, obviously, there's arbitrage factors in there too. So as Lululemon continues to fall, I think it's a possibility it could get kicked out of the S&P, and then then you got all kinds of problems here. So I don't know. Guilty until proven innocent. Could it have a relief rally? Could it have a short squeeze? Sure. Is it cheap? It's dirt cheap. Could they turn around? They might, but I don't know if I'm, it's got to start building on some of these rallies. They do buybacks, doesn't rally. They hire new execs, doesn't rally. Start showing me a reason to buy this stock. I just haven't really seen it yet.
Do we know the requirements for S&P stocks? Are there any hard requirements like that?
Well, they got to be making money, obviously 4 quarters in a row, I believe. But It's more of S&P adjusts. The people who run this thing aren't scared to kick stuff out that's underperforming and put in other stuff. I mean, there's been no worse stock really than Lululemon. I think if you look at the S&P over the course of last year, I think it's the worst performing stock. At least it was at one time. Maybe there's a couple of companies that have passed it or something, because there's been some crappy ones too. But I mean, this stock has just been straight down for basically 3 years. So I don't know. Like I do like, that, this is a value stock. Joel, talk to me on the technicals. Is there any hope for
I'll talk to you
Lululemon?
technicals. I will say this is better than a Nike hire. I will say, right? Remember the Nike hire that we had? I have it
Definitely
up here
better.
on the chart. I don't know. And ESPN, I mean, Chip Wilson coming back on the board. What I would do is I would go poach the highest person I could from Ross Stores. That's what I would do. I would get someone from there.
That's where he should have went. Like,
that's what I think.
You went to Nike. Why didn't he go to TJX or Ross Stores? I bet you the stock's $180 if they went to TJX and had TJX exec. But you know what? What TJX exec wants to go to Lululemon?
No.
They're not that easy either. It's like, in sports. You want to go trade for this, really crap. You want to go play for this really crappy team and never win a Stanley Cup? I mean, that's what it is. So these execs are the same way. Like, okay, well, it'd be cool to do a turnaround story. You know how hard those are? You know how many people fail at these turnaround stories? They see it again and again and again. I mean, the GE turnaround story was epic. But, there's not a lot of GE turnaround stories out there. There's a lot more stories where, it just keeps getting worse. It's hard to turn companies around. Not everybody's going to give you a handout, like Tan got with Donald Trump and Intel. So, I mean, that's what you really need is like handouts here. If Trump says buy Lululemon, I'm buying Lululemon immediately.
Yeah, if you see Trump coming out there in some Lululemon pants, yoga pants, and stuff.
Barron, keep an eye on Barron. If Barron starts wearing a lot of Lululemon, then maybe that's the tech catalyst.
Okay, so Claude tells us we don't talk enough about economics in econ data. Does Claude know that we have a chief economist at the Stock Trader Network is none other than Blue Putnam? Let's roll that intro. All right. Good morning, Blue. How you doing today, Blue?
I'm doing okay. I'm fighting my computer, but I'm winning so far.
You know what? You're pretty good. I mean, you just send me the slides and the PowerPoints and stuff. I tell you, man, you are. I know you're using a lot of AI, but we'll talk about that later on. But we're talking about the markets. We're talking about the U.S. markets. We haven't been talking about China much. And boy, oh boy, oh boy. We got a little trade war. We don't have a trade war. They're buying some stuff. They're selling some stuff here. But, talk about the dollar. Talk about the yuan. Talk about China.
Yeah, I mean, the most amazing thing in the last year on the currency front to me has been the appreciation of the Chinese yuan. China, has incredible aspirations to, they want to be on an equal footing with the U.S. They have geopolitical aspirations. But they also have aspirations for their currency. They would like to take some market share from the U.S. dollar in terms of transactions. Now, that's not going to happen in the big markets. But, if China does direct trade with Vietnam and other countries, they can push hard for let's do this all in one. So here's the chart of the Chinese yuan. Now this is Chinese yuan per US dollar. So when the line is going down, the yuan is going up and the dollar is going down. And what you can see is that back in April of 2025, you remember that we had Liberation Day and the tariffs and all that. Yeah. That's when the appreciation started. It got hit on Liberation Day, but by the end of the month, the Chinese yuan was weak. And then after that, it's been strong ever since. The other thing you can note on this chart is as lines go, it's been pretty smooth over the last year. That's a really good sign that China's managing this whole process. We measure volatility of different things, and the volatility in 23 and 24 for the Chinese yuan was 6% or 6.5% actually, which is a pretty normal volatility for currencies. Now it's under 3%. They're managing this thing. and they really want a steady appreciation. And they've been able to do it because they didn't. They lost exports to the U.S., but they picked up exports to everywhere else. And so their export machine is working really well, and that's helped them do their currencies. The other thing they do with their to manage a currency is if you want your currency a little stronger, you have to buy your currency. And to buy your currency, you need to sell some dollars. So they've been actually selling their U.S. treasuries. Now, this started back in 2011. They've been doing it a long time, but they've increased their activity. If you go back to 2011, they had 1.32 trillion of U.S. treasuries. Now it's under 700 billion. Sorry, the chart's wrong, but no, it's not. The 650 billion is where they are now. So they've sold a lot of treasuries to support their currency. That does not mean that they don't still hold a lot of U.S. dollars. They have other foreign reserves in U.S. dollars. They can buy stocks like you guys were talking about. They can buy all kind of things. So they still hold a lot of U.S. dollar assets, but the treasuries they've been shifting out of, and that's part of their way of managing the currency. So very interesting things going on with the currency.
What about gold? What are they doing with their gold?
Well, they have been buying gold, but they're not just the people buying gold these days. Over the last couple of years, when gold has made its big run from 2,500 to 5,000 and then drifted back, the big run was central banks buying gold. Not just China, but a lot of central banks were buying gold. They were buying that as a monetary hedge against the U.S. dollar. And that also gave China some ideas about what they could do with their currency. It was good timing.
What is
Population.
this?
Go ahead.
Yeah, continue. Go with your presentation. I'm not going to interrupt, and then I'm going to have some questions at the end. Go, Blue.
Okay.
China.
Well, the only thing I really wanted to make the point about China is that they do have some really big headwinds. And the biggest headwind they have, far and away, bigger than their property scandal, bigger than anything, is their demographics. China is getting old, and it isn't making new Chinese. Okay. And so what we do here is the black line there is the working age population. It's no longer growing at all. And this has been true for a couple of years. The total population has stopped growing, and the total population is aging. The percent of people over 65 is headed toward 20% plus. So that's a huge stress on the working age population to produce the growth that they need to support their retirees. This is a huge problem. They know all about this. So when you get a population that's getting older, guess what you do? You focus on what I call health and wealth. You want to maintain your health because you're getting older, it's a little more fragile, and you want to maintain your wealth because you can't make much more of it anymore. So that means a strong currency helps the wealth part. What does that mean for Chinese growth? That's the next chart. It's going to slow down. They were growing 10% a year in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s. Then they started to slow down, and it matches that working age graph perfectly. They slowed down in the 2010s, and they're going to slow down a lot more in the 2020s. So they're working hard to take advantage of what they consider a geopolitical opening that the tariffs and the Iran war have given them. It's an amazing story. But China, the currency is going to be a competitor for the dollar. It just may take another decade.
Blue, general question before we go back to China. And I know we're getting some echo here. I'm trying to figure out where that's coming from. Maybe it's coming from Joel's mic here. I just muted Joel's mic. But doesn't population, isn't this an issue everywhere? We're looking at, obviously, they're not making more Chinese, but we're not making as many North Americans or Europeans as we used to, too. Elon Musk has said this is one of the biggest risks, for the world is population decline. Obviously, it takes 2.2, if you're a couple, you have to have 2.2 babies to replace yourselves. And we're seeing so many families now have one kid or no kids. I I think about like, the economy growing over time. And you look back to the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, it's mostly population growth that has driven that. How do we continue to grow the economy if the population isn't growing?
Well, we grow the economy two ways. We grow it with adding to the labor force, which is not quite the same as population.
Okay.
Boomers retiring, things like that. So we grow the labor force, or we grow labor productivity. Now, that's just the arithmetic. Real GDP is labor growth plus labor productivity. But what we know is when population growth slows down and then the labor force doesn't grow, you're depending on that productivity increase. Now, AI may give us a way out of this for a while. We'll see how that works. But you're also right that it's happening in almost all the Northern Hemisphere countries. Japan led the way on this. China is really not far behind on Japan on aging. Europe is, they're aging too, and the US is right behind them. So we're all in the problem. But Japan was the poster child. And, a lot of people said they lost a couple of decades of growth. I don't really think that's what happened. They adapted to not growing their labor force. Their companies, big multinationals, started producing outside of Japan. So they were able to grow their companies. They were able to modernize their economy and keep up, but the GDP wasn't growing as fast. So GDP is somewhat of a flawed measure when your population isn't growing and your labor force isn't growing. But China understands this, and so they're working hard to position their economy for when they really aren't going to grow as fast.
Okay, let's shift topics here. Let's move over to gold. All right, Iran war, inflation, higher oil prices, right? Gold should be surging to $10,000 an ounce here. Blue, a lot of gold bugs, and a lot of gold bugs not happy today. Let's put some framework here in the gold market. Inflation hedge or not?
Well, this is an interesting question. A lot of people go back to the 1970s. We had 10 years. The dollar was weak for the whole decade. I mean, that was when we went on flexible exchange rates. President Nixon took us off the Bretton Woods gold standard. The dollar just collapsed for a decade. And we had a lot of inflation in the US, but we had a lot of inflation all around the world. Europe had inflation. Asia had inflation. So the question was, did gold rally back then because of the dollar weakness or because of inflation? I'm in the dollar camp. And, we've had inflation surge in the US. It's headed back up again. We know that from the Iran war, gas prices. If gold was a real inflation hedge, it'd be doing better right now. So we have to figure out what's going on. Well, there are some changes. Interest rates aren't going down as fast as some people thought. Gold doesn't bear interest, so that's one issue for gold. But the central banks were really buying gold in the last couple of years. They were adding to their gold stocks because they weren't sure. They didn't trust the United States as much. And so they said, well, maybe, we need a hedge against this dollar in our foreign reserve. So they bought a lot of gold, and that helped gold a lot. Turns out the Iran war has disturbed all that, and the Ukraine war. Russia needs money, and they are selling some of their gold. Now, they also produce gold, but they've started to sell a lot more than they used to. So that's a drag. India's economy is not doing too well because of the Iran war. They were dependent on that oil. The prime minister there, he's asked that the Indians not buy as much gold jewelry and things. They really like gold for weddings, celebrations, everything. So we have a lot of pressure on gold coming from the people who used to buy it. Some of them are now selling it, and that's the central banks. So rising inflation hasn't helped gold. Rising interest rates don't help gold. Weaker dollar would help gold. But in the Iran war, the dollar hasn't really been weak. So, when we get news that the war might be ending and the Strait of Hormuz is opening up, well, maybe the euro goes up 0.25% that day. And then the war comes back and we get nervous about it and the dollar takes it right back. This is not a dollar story yet. So I think that's gold's issue, is that the dollar has managed to stabilize after its weakness from the tariffs, and the interest rates are going to stay higher longer, and central banks are selling. So it's a headwind for gold.
Do you think some of the gold, the lack of, or the lack of luster in gold pricing here has to do with gold doesn't have a lot of utility? I mean, there's been a lot of metals here that have been really hot because they've got like utility, like copper for AI. Aluminum's been hot. Some of the other is some of the like precious metals, are they going into other metals that have more utility? Because like my kid was asking me the other day, he's like, well, what's gold good for? I'm like, well, it's kind of, you wear it and it's a store of value. I'm like, but does it do anything? And I'm like, well, not really. I'm like, like copper, I'm like, we use that in the wiring for AI. I mean, like, there's more utility there. Do you think that there's something there where the AI trade, like, there's not a lot of AI in gold?
No, in fact, your copper is the AI winner. You cannot build a data center, a country, and a grid, anything, electric grid. You can't do any of that without a lot of copper. So you are absolutely right. There has been a shift in commodities away from the precious metals. Like silver was going up even faster than gold. Silver is, think of it as a high beta gold. Silver actually has some industrial uses, but nothing like copper. So copper is the winner here. You nailed it. And by the way, copper has a long way to go. I mean, there are issues in production in copper. Copper comes from a variety of places. Chile, which has got some political issues. The supply of copper isn't going to grow as fast as the demand right now because of these data centers.
Joel on mute. Mute. I'll take him off mute. Joel on mute. The old mute trick that took a long time. Usually he does it in 1 second. He figures it out. But
yeah.
And you were saying something really good too.
It's just so hard, following the smart guy and trying to, get a good question across here. Blue, one dynamic we have now that we didn't have in the 1970s is Bitcoin. So where's the role for Bitcoin? That was supposed to be the huge inflation hedge as well. So is a little bit of gold's loss Bitcoin? And just give us your overall outlook here for Bitcoin versus the dollar, Bitcoin versus gold, and Bitcoin versus the market.
We'll have to do a show about Bitcoin in the next couple of weeks. We have a little more time on it. But
okay,
Bitcoin took off when it became institutionalized. Back in, I think it was December 2017, our friends at CME Group started Bitcoin futures. A year or so later, they added options. The SEC became much more friendly to Bitcoin under President Trump. You've got ETFs. And if you want to buy Bitcoin, you've had a couple of years now to buy it any which way you want. And now we're back to Dennis's question. What does Bitcoin do for you?
Yeah.
Well, for a lot of people, it's an independent currency. It doesn't have a central bank. So that makes it a dollar competitor, but it's really not a stable value. It has moved way up, way back down. You don't hold Bitcoin for a store of value. That doesn't work. You buy Bitcoin because you think it's going up. Now, where Bitcoin is in this range we're in the $70,000 place, this does not look stable to me. It looks like we need a new driver. And I can't see that driver, but that doesn't mean it's not out there. But I don't feel like Bitcoin can hang around this trading zone for much longer without moving up or down. It just, going nowhere doesn't suit Bitcoin traders.
Blue, what are we going to talk about next week?
We'll probably talk about the Fed a little bit. They got a meeting coming up in mid-June. It's the first time Kevin Warsh is going to be leading the Fed. And I'm going to, we know they're not going to do anything. They, with inflation rising, they're on hold a little bit. So but it'll be an interesting press conference if he gives one. He doesn't really like giving forward guidance, but he'll probably do his first press conference. So it'll be an interesting day. So we'll talk about Kevin Warsh. We'll also talk about how he relates to the Federal Reserve regional banks. The regional banks have more power than people realize. So we'll talk a little bit about them too. So I think Fed is on tap, and then we'll have to go back to Bitcoin in a week or two.
Okay, and then also you're working on a piece on prediction markets here. So if you want more of Blue more than once a week here on the Pre-Market Prep Show, as we mentioned, he is the chief economist for Stock Trader Network, and he is going to be soon posting some of his excellent content on that page as well. So Blue, you're out of here. Thank you for working through the technical difficulties, and we'll be chatting with you next week.
Sounds good. Thank you.
And I
Great
just
job,
happen
Blue.
to be wearing a Michigan shirt, right? Blue, go blue. I mean, no wonder you're one of my favorite guests. Dennis doesn't like when I say favorite guest there. So,
He's our favorite guest, Blue. He's part of the team. Thanks, Blue.
all right. Thank you. He's not a guest, he's the team. All right. We're falling out of bed here, Dennis. What is
Well,
going on?
I can tell you exactly what is going on here. Is Micron and SanDisk are leaking. So we've had, the run, Micron 1000, get your hats ready. We just fell $30 in Micron here. So not that it's bad. We're still up 6%. SanDisk still up 29, 39 points, but just fell 40 points here. So it's something. So we got a little bit of profit taking here this morning. AMD was up 15 points, is only up 4 here now. A little bit of profit taking across the board, and it's not coming into other stocks. All the Z-scalers off the lows. But
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, we just see this inverse correlation here with hardware and software. It's back to that again. But here we are, a little bit of dip, a little bit of profit taking. Doesn't mean it's over, doesn't mean anything like that. And they just changed the last 40 minutes. We have a little bit of profit taking here. So, which is, prudent. I mean, if you're sitting in these stocks and they're running up 100, 200, 300% here, or in the case of SanDisk, yes, SanDisk, I want to give you the numbers here, since this time last year. So if we go back into, not even this time last year, we could go back just to September. Since September, SanDisk is now up 1,200%. 1,200% in 7 months, 8 months. I mean, I don't know at this point. Is the pony ride going to end at a certain point in time? It is. I mean, we can say, and you can be like Barclays and upgrade it here, and say, it's just going to continue. It's been the easy call because it continues to go higher. But at a certain point in time, you definitely are chasing. There's definitely risk. So keep that in mind. I was trading it last night. You can trade anything. Trade it all. Just don't get married to anything. I think if you're coming in and investing in SanDisk at this point in time, I think you're going to be actually disappointed. I think if you're coming in Micron and investing, like saying Micron is the future, memory is the future, I'm going to invest in it now, I think you're going to be disappointed because I think there's going to be a pullback. I'm not saying it can't go up in the long run, but I think you're going to get a dip here, another buyable dip. There's always another buyable dip. I mean, people were asking a week ago, what's going on with Micron? It's went from 800 to 650. What's happening? Denny, what's happening with Micron? Oh my gosh, what's going on? And then it comes back and like, it's just a dip to buy. That might continue, but at a certain point in time, we're going to have longer than a 2-day dip on Micron. It's just been too much, way too fast. Is the company doing awesome? Yes. Is there a memory shortage? Yes. Is it too much, too fast? Yes.
I just want to talk Chris Brecher, who's a contributor on the Stock Trader Network on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. He's a brave man, former floor trader. He says he's looking to fade huge rallies in these tech stocks. He said just too parabolic, but he's going to walk through his steps for doing that at 11 o'clock today. So if you want to join Chris is stepping out, making a call here, so that should be fun. We're fading. Our stocks are fading here. We're not back yet at mid range. Since these analysts have just been moving the market around here, should we cover a few more analysts?
We should. There are some earnings to cover too from this morning here, which we have not covered. I do want to cover Pinduoduo. I'd also like to cover Abercrombie and Fitch, but again, China stocks are just hated. Valuations are dirt cheap, but it doesn't matter. This market is not into value. This market is into a growth story. China has the worst story ever. Pinduoduo comes in, PDD. I don't even care what the earnings are. I mean, let me know, but I bet you they weren't even that bad. But the China stocks just don't get any love.
Total sales for the quarter, I see 15.4 billion. That was up 11% from the same quarter last year. Their operating profit was almost $3 billion. Everything looks pretty darn strong here in this earnings report. I don't have clean comparisons. I don't see any guidance for the report. Shares here this morning trading down to around the $89 level, down about
Same
$10
thing.
or so.
Stocks in a hardcore downtrend for the last few years. Just can't get any love. Valuation's been reasonable on all of these names. I've been in Baba and Baidu, and they go up a little bit and they come back in. They go up and they come back in. They just are stuck in the mud. And there's a lot of stocks. This isn't just some China stocks. It's a pile of stocks that are stuck in the mud or actually leaking and going lower. So, I mean, it's like everything. If it's not, and again, some of these stocks are actually AI plays like a Baidu and a Baba. Pinduoduo online, there's maybe some AI in there, but I don't see it as that much of a play like a Baidu or a Baba. But again, just no love. What's going to turn the story around? I don't know. Like these are dips that sometimes get bought, sometimes don't. Not as easy as a hardware dip.
A Jack Ma sighting would probably help things out.
Where is Jack Ma? We haven't heard from Jack Ma in a while. Okay, we digress. Give me some technicals on Pinduoduo. PDD.
PDD. Well, let's see here. You just got a little pop off that bar. You're making a new low of the move. I'll just give you the pre-market low here. Pre-market low comes in at 87.06, it looks like. Yep. No, 87.66. Let's see if that lines up. The only thing you can do in this circumstance is look at the monthlies and see if there's anything on the monthlies. Your last monthly low was at 87.11. So I will give 87 a better place to cover short than to try along. So that's what I'm looking at here for Pinduoduo.
Abercrombie and Fitch, which was the darling of 2024 when the stock went from $23 up to $196, and everybody had to buy it at $196 because the stock was going to $500. Oh, no, it's not. And now 2 years later, it's back here at $74.78. But the report last night, and the Bulls are winning for a day. How was the report, Mr. Slava? Oh my gosh, Brent's on mute too. Brent never does that either. Brent never does that.
I'm off my game, Dennis.
Yeah.
Quarter was mixed. They beat on the bottom line, 147 versus 127. Sales coming in at 1.11 billion. Analysts were at 1.12 billion. Their Q2 guidance looks like it was pretty light. They're expecting Q2 earnings around $1.80 to $2. Analysts were up at 252. So mixed report, looks like some pretty concerning guidance, but shares are up about 7%, about $5 here this morning.
All right. You did pop over 80. So there's some room to run in here. I'm not even gonna stop at that 80 here. I'd move your next target up to 83.94. If you're a fader of this move, well, you better hope it gets to the top of yesterday's range. That comes in at 78 even. You got some moving averages above. So far, liking the report. Just make sure if you get over 80, you hold 80.
So tonight, we get those CRM, Snowflake, and we get this number one of them all. Let's talk technicals on this one. Marvell Technologies, which has been an absolute monster. Brought to us by the intern, our own STN room at $90 here. It's now $219, goes up 11 points every day. Doesn't matter the Micron to start sell off. Marvell doesn't even have a sell off. It doesn't even sell off a little bit here in the Micron sell off here. So we're up 11 points ahead of the report. Preview this, Joel. I mean, stocks at all-time highs, always tricky, but report is tonight. Brent, if you can look at the expected move from Marvell,
sure.
I'd be curious about that one as well.
I'll look right now.
High bar. Very high bar. Very high.
It's going to get over the high bar.
It's going to get over the high bar.
Spoiler alert. It's going to beat the high bar. Does it still go down because it's run so far? Maybe. Does the dip get bought? Probably.
I'd go for a time. I mean, you made a new all-time high yesterday, and are you back at that area here? 217.45 was that all-time high made yesterday. You're trading above that. It really hasn't buckled yet with the Micron and the SanDisk coming down. You mentioned that before, but it just looks like there's a really, really patient seller here. I'm just going to call they're really targeting like the 221 area. So they let it get up to 2180 and then they pepper it and then they only let it get up to 2167. So you do have several highs between 320 and a half and 322. This is going back to all the way to 7 o'clock this morning. So, but for even earlier than that, since Wow, going back really to 5:30 this morning. So, but for every seller, there's a buyer, right? So people are buying it up there as well. But hanging up there despite Micron coming in a little bit and SanDisk coming in a little bit.
9 o'clock. Let's take the conversation over to the STN Think Tank. I know there's lots of cool stocks out there. Let's continue the conversation. Let's go.
All right. See ya.